So now you have arrived at a place in your spiritual development and maturing discipleship that you are ready for much more freedom and sovereignty across many different shifting realities and changing seasons. Things change, and you are able to be present for it. You are ready for the seventh mastery in the sovereign way, which we call adventuring. Imagine being so malleable in your mental and vibrational mastery and so grounded in your self-love and acceptance for the path that you're on that you could just woof into any dimension that Christ calls you into without resistance or with the alchemy to meet resistance, but without clinging with white knuckles to everything that you've worked for in this dimension, without protecting all the knowledge that you've gained and all the interests that you've earned and the reputation and the lifestyle, just free to go, free to say yes to God. Imagine being free for poise and radiance when all the tectonic plates shift all around you and everything changes. But you do not, because you trust life. Imagine when God says, "The flowers have appeared in the countryside and the season of singing is here." You can say, "I know, Lord, I see it. And I do trust you, the way and the wellspring." Do you know what it takes to have that kind of faith, to walk the surrendered way, following only the call of the one who loves you the most? Do you? Yes, I know you do. You do because you are an adventurer already. You've been here many, many times and you do know what it takes to live a way of outrageous surrender and grounded trust in the one who loves you the most. I'll prove it to you. Let's have a look at what it took to get you here, to this level of the game, the Sovereign Way. We're now at the seventh mastery in the Sovereign Way book, which you can get on Amazon. First mastery, remembering. You remember the truth that transcends all time and space, that you come from the heart of God, that you are made of light, that you are originally good and always becoming. You are known, never forgotten, never alone, always worthy, and always provided for. And even though you sometimes pretend that this isn't true, and you sometimes live as if it's all going to fall apart, in your heart, you know who you are. And the second mastery, recognizing. Since you remember all of this, you've started recognizing the difference between truth and story, self and personality, essence and structure, home and house, open door and closed door, relevant timeline, irrelevant timeline, core values, somebody else's values. You recognize these things. And since you recognize these things, third mastery, releasing, you've also become very effective at letting go of stories and lies, falsehoods and structured paradigms and errors and trauma. You've become very, very good at forgiving others and yourself. Love does that, doesn't it? It lets go of a lot of stuff, and you're letting go. You're letting more evaporate away by the grace of God. And you're getting better at it, which means you're more present to the fourth mastery, expansion. Because when you can effectively let go and release patterns and systems that belong to outdated versions of you, then the natural organic expansion of life force simply increases your capacity in a new way to meet the challenges of life in a new way. In fact, you become available for life force to overflow and connect you with whole new dimensions of possibilities, all because you're available for expansion. And since you're available for expansion, you're also becoming a genius. That's the fifth mastery in the sovereign way. Because you become so much more sovereign in your thinking, because you're not so attached to the narratives or so quick to be seduced by some mainstream idea. You've been honing your higher faculties and really conditioning your mind, your marvelous, marvelous mind, for processing faster and smoother and more complex realities. And new creativity is bubbling and you're present to it. How have you been doing that? In the Oasis, some of you, some of us, people have spoken about new artworks coming forth, new family relationships, beautiful writings, business ideas, revelations, and community connections. Present in divine mind to a new realm of creativity that you've never experienced before. And that makes you able to understand, synthesize, and formulate to help others receive what you now know, right? As part of your job as a light leader. So that's genius. And genius then opens you up to the sixth mastery, alchemy. Because you now operate from these higher faculties, you're able to hold your mind and energy steady in all sorts of different attractor fields and different kinds of weather that before would make you wobble. But now you stand strong and poised in all kinds of different energies. Difficult things happen and you don't fall apart because you're holding a stable love for what is and for who you are, all the different pieces of you. And all things transform around you simply by the presence that you bring. Good things happen and things grow because you were there to water the soil through your witness. And with Jesus's authority to turn water into wine, you are now suddenly free to serve everywhere, anywhere, because God knows that you are able to love. That's what makes you free, that you are able to love. So that's what brings you to the seventh mastery. Seventh mastery in the sovereign way is adventuring. Because this level of spiritual authority that you now embody as a light leader, your next mission is to deepen your trust in the flow of life that promises, I am making a way in the wilderness. I am making a wellspring in the desert. The season of singing has come. The flowers have appeared in the countryside. That's why the seventh mastery in the sovereign way is adventuring. And I'm talking about true adventuring, not just taking a trip to Europe or like me and my husband did, sell everything and get a tent and go live in Colorado. Not just taking a trip from time to time, but learning how to truly realign into God's flow state so that it takes you across all kinds of different realities, including sometimes those you swore you'd never enter. Let's do a test. Imagine you've planned an evening of quietly writing your new book. You visualized it. It's on your schedule. You've arranged your workspace. You've lit your candle. You've poured your tea and you've chosen some soothing music, binaurals for creativity to help your brain work. And you're just about to settle in and just let the artistic juices flow when God tells you, by way of demonstration, that you need to go and plunge the toilet. You need to replace the U-bend. You need to clean that stinky mess instead. And you know what you must do. And it's not what you planned, but you will do it. The question is, will you jeter like a graceful ballerina into your new reality, or will you stomp like a petulant child with your lip sticking out? I'm asking you, and you know your attitude about these things. It's your choice. Now, I know that at this level of your spiritual development, you have developed an obedience. and you have developed the discernment to know when you must do something. But the quality and characteristic of an adventurer, an advanced adventurer, is the graceful move across timelines without all the pain and the resistance. It's the grace that we're bringing forth here. Someone just said adventuring shit show. Yeah. True stories from my life. Perhaps you must leave the clean and free life, sustainable off-grid homesteading life that you'd been creating in the high mountains and go and move to a moldy bedroom in a brick house in a damp inner city on the other side of the world. Perhaps you must discontinue a timeline of being an impoverished artist and activate a season of great influence and overflow. But that means leaving a whole community sharing together the story of being an impoverished artist, and it would seem like a betrayal to those who love you. Perhaps you must stop integrating crystal grids at key dimensional portals across the globe and go and start serving at soup kitchens instead, and perhaps that's a knock on your reputation. Perhaps you must leave an abusive relationship and all the stability that came with it and choose a free life instead, with all the uncertainty that comes with it. Or perhaps after a long season of hard and thankless work for some invisible goal, you must go and rest for a year in the valleys, being nourished by the elements. And you have sovereign command of both your mental and vibrational worlds, so you can cheerfully change directions. Listen, this is an important three-layer distinction. A spiritually immature person interprets external circumstances and says, oh no, things are falling apart. How unfair. It's because of all of them out there. A spiritually emerging person interprets external circumstances and says, oh no, things are falling apart and I bear responsibility to transform my lack consciousness or unhealed wounds or my traumas or my pattern behaviors, and then I can make things better. A sovereign person interprets the external circumstances and says, things change. I know who I am. I am here. I know the way. And I know how I serve. I once had a blind client called Orly. She was a TV chef, completely blind, couldn't see a thing. And my job with her was I was helping her develop her memoirs during a time that she was training to climb Kilimanjaro. And to begin with, I was like, what? But you can't see anything. You can't, what? But then I got to know her and I was like, oh yeah, she can do anything. But she gave me a spiritual lesson that I'll never forget. You see, she had been a gymnast when she was younger. Like, you imagine this sort of woman, right? Can't see anything. She's a gymnast, TV chef, climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. So when she was younger, she was a gymnast and she could do a forward flip on a beam. The mastery of adventuring can feel a bit like doing a forward flip on a beam without being able to see anything. And even though it's terrifying, it's actually easy. This is what she told me. You start by feeling the position of your body in time and space. I know who I am. I am here. And then you feel the beam under your feet. You know the laws of the beam. You know its width. You know its length. You know its rigidity. Not like you know facts. It's not like you're like, okay, it's 5 inches across. It's not facts. It's like you know the characteristics of your dependable father. You can trust that this beam is 100% dependable. It will not change. Things can change around, but this beam will not. right? It's always been dependable so far, hasn't it? Look back and see. It always has. And then you form an intention using your genius mind to move through the multidimensional vision unfolding in your imagination, knowing it, I am doing a forward flip. Now, the brain itself, or your divine mind, calculates all the precision required, and you don't interfere with the mathematics. It sends trillions of signals to all the tiniest muscles in the most precise parts of your body that you don't even know exist. And then you decide. At the point of true decision, movement simply occurs. If you trust the laws of the beam, and you trust your own divinely designed body's ability to follow him, then you just do a forward flip on the beam. Now, to her, it was no different than making tea, making a cup of tea. You don't know how to emit all the right electrical signals to contract all the correct fine motor muscles in your fingers to lift the box of ginger and turmeric. You have no idea how to make a cup of tea. You just know where all the things are in relation to each other, and then you just trust that the mechanism will work itself out. The moment you decide to make a cup of tea and you make a movement in that direction, everything will play in perfect alignment with your intention and tea will be served. The beam is there. It is safe for you to move forward. And I know you know it's terrifying. We know what it's like when everything you worked for and believed in and had built up begins to shift and change. And risk and grief are awful but wonderful friends as we mourn the passing of dreams that once seemed so real. And in hindsight, you can also see that even in the rubble, those immutable, unshakable truths were also always there. God was with you, and you chose life, and now here you are. Hindsight helps us trust the beam, doesn't it? And that trust is sovereign when seasons change. Because, sometimes the brown leaves are not wilting because of your neglect trauma or their pesticide crop dusting. Sometimes they're wilting because seasons change. Or maybe your business idea didn't fail because of your lack consciousness or their oppressive policies. Maybe it curled up and folded in because seasons change. The spirit is always moving, and adamantine particles are always shifting like sand particles across the undulating dunes of manifestation. Relationships, business ideas, political parties, astrological forecasts, technological disasters, war. All these sand dunes made of moving particles held briefly in place by energy. Things change, and your soul is still whole, held together in one cohesive sovereign vibration, in one unified field, in one Holy Spirit. And if you are someone who is prepared to let all those shifting sand dunes become whatever they may, as you follow the only dependable way in the desert, then you are not just a light worker, but a light leader. Because others will see your courage and your peace and the marvelous ways that you always seem to get out of a bind and how you always seem to flourish. They will see the grace of God through you, and they will find their way too. What is the only dependable way truth, and life in the desert? Your heart knows. Follow Jesus. Oh, but look out there. Everything's changing. What's going to happen? What sand dunes might form? We don't know. We could be terrible. We just don't know. How can we be prepared for something that we don't know what is? An adventurer is prepared for what nobody is prepared for. The adventurer knows exactly what will be occurring. Love will be here and now. Creativity will be here and now. Energy and element will be here and now. Light responds to love. And all those things work together for those who love the Lord. I will be safe and provided for. I will be able to serve. The beam is dependable. Let's finish up by reviewing what we learned about how to do a forward flip on a balance beam if you're blind. Step 1. You know yourself and your position. Check. Step 2. You know the beam under your feet. Check. Step 3. You decide and you move. Check. Step 4. The laws of reality, the grace of God, shifts you into place. Check. Forward flip complete. That's how you master adventuring. Now, of course, there's much more to embody when it comes to truly living the outrageous surrender of flow state. And it all comes through experience, which comes through trust and risk and presence. And you can read more in the chapter in the 7th mastery called Adventuring in the Sovereign Way. But what it looks like to lose control, to trust God completely, and to move into those new realities that lead us into total restoration and the ripple effects that last generations, that experience already lives in you because of who you are and how you came this far. You could not have come this far without outrageous faith beyond mental assent, without the outrageous obedience to say yes to God in the wildest storms of the desert, without the embodied trust beyond the reasonable. This is knowing. This is a mystical quality that you inhabit called knowing. And as an adventurer, the collective structure, the matrix that we love to hate, is neither the source of your life, nor is it a hologram that you need to escape. It is the great adventure of your divine becoming. It is the place where you meet the beloved. It is a friend that you dearly want to nourish. Your experience now, henceforth, as an adventurer, is always expansive and it's always safe. There is nowhere in the world where you can be out of place. For you have the ultimate belonging. And you have a devoted family to help carry the yoke wherever you find yourself. We're in it together. We belong to a coordinated network of Christed light leaders who are going the sovereign way together. You are not alone. And as an adventurer, you must be in love while washing the feet of your brother in the slums of despair. You must be in love while serving the queens of the highest galactic courts. You need to be able to go from mama bear warrior in one acute hurricane moment to the bliss of noticing a drifting scent of fresh seaweed in another, and then back again. You have total sovereign freedom to serve love at any time. And the old world will look at you and go, what kind of a creature could you possibly be? Moving through cultures and vocations and methods and dimensions and callings and timelines with an ease that defies reason. And they'll be amazed because nothing but supernatural freedom can cause a queen to happily abdicate her throne or a warlord to humbly cease fire. And yet you liberate all manner of energy fields as you come into contact with them. That's because you are an adventurer, a sovereign adventurer. Step 1, trust that you know who you are and where you are. Step 2, trust that you know the dependable laws of reality. Step 3, decide to move. Step 4, allow the universe to do the rest. Thank you for watching. We will now go to our group share in the Oasis and talk more about the metaphysics of true freedom.